Yeah, man, it's this historic day, and like, let's talk about what we're talking about. The House settlement has, been passed, and we're in this new era now of all these things we've been talking about for the last, I don't know, year and a half to 2 years. It's now all plugging and chugging down the train tracks, and so I'm sure everybody who's watching a show like this, you're already all well aware. But for those that aren't, like, yeah, some big things happened since we last talked to you. So welcome in, everybody, and it's a brand new week, and hope you're doing well. And Smokey will be back tomorrow, as you mentioned. Shout out to Andrew and Garrett behind the scenes as well, and Emery, who's still hiding, although the Thunder are in much better shape since we last talked to him. It's a big last couple of days, and timing-wise kind of sucked because we got off the air, and then all of a sudden all hell was breaking loose. But this has been a long time coming, and well, I mean, the sport that we've talked about every day for the most part, for most shows over the last, 5 years or so, is now a different sport than when we were last talking to you guys. I mean, that's the simplest way to put it. I feel like the college football that we knew, as much as it was changing, is different from the college football that we were last talking about when we were doing a show. Mm-hmm. So it's a new era. It's a new time. I don't know if it's good or not, honestly. I think that to have some reeling in of just all of the craziness of the past couple of years was long overdue. I'm looking forward to there being some parameters, some things in place, some guardrails is the word that everybody got kind of annoyed with probably after a while, but I don't really know what better term there was to use other than guardrails. Those seem to now be getting put into place or are now officially in place. And there's just all sorts of reactions and speculation about what comes next. I know we're going to talk about private equity. There's already misreporting on that. And it's been like, I don't know what to expect moving forward. I think there's a lot of plates in the air for every school out there. And it's going to be fascinating to watch what all this looks like moving forward. But it is a brand new day, to be sure, in college sports, and a much different one, like I said, than when we last talked to you guys.
Yes. And there was nobody had any idea when Judge Wilkin was going to rule on this. And she did. There was a little bit of thought that it could be coming. But on Friday night, she did rule on, she accepted the House settlement. And congratulations to Judge Catalina Wilkin on your retirement. Finally, this is her last case ever. But the settlement negotiated by plaintiffs seeking back pay NIL and NCAA/power leagues has three main parts. One is $2.8 billion in back pay to ex-athletes that spans over it's not everybody ever. It's just athletes over a certain time period, I believe from 2019 until now or whatever. I mean, but it's not, if you played in 1986, you're not getting any money. If you played 1996, you're not getting any money. $20 billion plus in revenue share to future athletes and new roster rules and an enforcement arm. The back pay is spread over 10 years. It's from the NCAA and school distribution, which is the NCAA tournament money. It's determined using a formula based on a player's value. $2.3 billion goes to P4 football and men's basketball players. That's an average of $120K a player over 10 years, and back payments begin soon. I'm going to go through some of the rest of these things piece by piece. The $20 billion in revenue share, that goes over 10 years. They have to stay under that cap that they've determined through an average of P4. So the first year, it's 20, with escalators that could go as high as 33 by 2035. Schools are not required to share the revenue. They can opt out of this, but then obviously there's other things, and that starts on July 1st. So as far as that all goes, that part of it, that's really the part that is the let's take care of the past and make sure that we don't have to deal with this again in the future. That is not to say this is not going to be challenged in a lot of different ways from people from groups who are not specifically covered in the settlement. But, that $20.5 million per school is $13 million to $16 million for football and $4 million for all the rest, really, based on the max that they can do. And they don't have to spend all of it. they can spend part of it if they like, but they have to, they only can spend 20.5 per school.
Yeah, but it'll increase. I mean, it'll go up, but it'll be the same number for every school. Yes, correct. The past athletes goes back 10 years, so that's 2016 that you're talking about. If you played 2015 or prior, sorry for you. You just missed out on getting whatever that number is going to be for those past athletes. So, good for them and getting a little bit of change and getting something out of this whole situation. But yeah, the 20.5 million's the loose tag, but I guess I'd say loose tag. That's the figure, but it's not like they're beholden to, you can only spend $20.5 million. You can only, as a school, spend $20.5 million, but your collectives and your NIL wings and all of that's where the new fresh money that's going to sway people will come in, to where you're not just all spending the same amount, right? So like you as Ohio State are probably spending the same amount as TCU. You're both spending $20.5 million, but it will be the Ohio State collective, or I guess not collective, but the NIL portion that will put the Buckeyes probably way ahead of TCU, right? Is that the fairest way to probably put it? So that'll be the difference maker is, you're all under a cap. Yeah. And like you said, not everybody has to spend $20.5 million, and some of them won't. Some of them won't do that, but some will pay 15, or some will pay all 20.5, and then
it's a great meditation sport. It's just yourself. You get out here, feeling the rhythm, feeling the rhyme. It's a good time.
Gives me the opportunity to hang out with the fellas for about 5 hours, and I get some solitude, relaxation, and a great time.
There's nothing I love more in life that doesn't have a heartbeat than golf.
I like the frustration involved with trying to find that right elusive swing. Or I just like to have a couple cocktails with some friends and maybe some cigars.
Golf is therapy to me. Malban Golf.
How do you go above and beyond? Well, that'll be up to your NIL wings to come up with that. And then whatever they do come up with now, here's the difference. They won't just say like, that guy's getting $2 million for Lambo sponsorship, and then you never see a commercial or anything. It's like, no, that's going to be sent to the clearinghouse, who will look at the deal and say whether it's valid or not. And so you can't just slap a store name and think you're going to get away with saying, oh, well, they're sponsoring this guy for $150,000. It's like, no, that's not valid. That'll get nixed. And so there will be some guardrails, is the best word, I guess, to use on the NIL deals as well.
But there are, and here's the thing. This is them telling you, here's the easy way to get around it. If you are a business and would like to give this guy this money, then just make sure that, hi, I'm Craig Smoak, quarterback for the Oklahoma Sooners, and I'm here to tell you about Bob's Ice Cream. I love Bob's Ice Cream. That's all you got to do. I mean, more or less.
Well,
within reason. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's more than, speaking of Oklahoma, when they're doing Big Red Motorsports, and Adrian Peterson nearly got banned, and they nearly got in a whole lot of trouble. Rhett Bomart did get kicked off the team. And that was a big old mess that could have been messier, but wasn't very fun at the time, because back then you were actually still afraid of the NCAA to some extent. That all turned out to be a false job, right? So I think that what you said is the old way, where you could probably get away with some things, but I don't think now with the system in place, they're going to check on that. So if Bob's Ice Cream is going to have you do some work.
Yeah,
no, that's what I'm saying. Is like, there's Bob's Ice Cream can't just say, hey, we're going to pay $2 million to this 5-star wide receiver, and then don't do anything with it. Yeah, like there's going to have to be commercials. There's going to have to be like a way that guy's earned that money to prove it to the clearinghouse that it's not just pay for play. And you're just saying, oh yeah, he's a sponsored athlete for $1 million. And then you just let it go, and, oh, that's just NIL. Like, no, now that'll be sent to the clearinghouse, and they will look at that deal and say whether or not it's legitimate. And if it's not, then it'll be stricken or redone or whatever. And if it's valid, then it'll go through. But yeah, that's a way to try to police some of the pay for play or some of the kind of phony NIL deals that have maybe been put together in the past few years that really were not true NIL deals. So there is that aspect of this as well. But there's, like, you can go off and, hey, if there is Bob's Burgers or whatever that legitimately wants to pay a dude $1 million and he's on commercials and he's doing in-store signings and it's all on the up and up, then you can pay as much as you want to.
Yeah.
But I think that's also where it comes into play of like, what's a market value? And that's where lawsuits will come into play. Like, you can't put a cap on this guy. If Bob's Burgers wants to pay him $1 million and you're saying that that's way too much money, well, then that's when I think some fights will come into play and lawsuits.
That's where the rubber's going to meet the road a lot, because where the NCAA and the colleges are going to say, like, no, this is maybe more of a $25,000 thing. Bob, if he's got enough burger chains and ice cream stores, can say he's worth what I say he's worth to my company.
Yeah,
so
but at the same time, how many guys are going to want to burn $1 million?
Not many. And again, I think that's going to be few and far between. But
I think the bad actors are going to get sorted out a little bit, because they're going to realize like you got to actually like do it for real, and it's not just throwing money and saying, oh, it's NIL. Like, now there actually be a purpose behind it. So I think that'll clean up some of it. But the bad faith people are going to be bad faith people. Well, they'll put a shell corporation together to help Ohio State win a national championship.
They've been doing this for a long time, just finding ways around it. So,
by the way, all these schools, there's everybody's putting out their notes graphic today, right? Of like, we've opted in, and like, that whole deal. And I'm seeing that from a lot of different schools. So yeah, I mean, this is a big, exciting time, but there will be some fallout. And I mentioned the graphics part because everybody's been preparing for this. So it's not like those same bad actors are not over the last year sitting there going, well, how do we get around this, or how do we get around that? And so, yeah, I'm sure we'll see some very creative ways that people will still be doing the same old thing and just spelling it differently.
Would you like to know the first one? I think they will try.
Go ahead.
Every deal that's above $600 has to go to the clearinghouse. So if you don't want it to go to the clearinghouse, just make all the deals worth $500. And instead of doing, one of them, like one $600 deal, you can do 25 separate $500 ones. That's where those things will have to get sorted out, because much like, I think it used to be, I don't know what it still is, but like $10,000, if you transferred $10,000 from one account to another, the IRS could flag that. So a lot of people, if they wanted to do that, would make, say they wanted to move $100,000, they would move, $9,900 11 times and $100 once, and then it wasn't flagged under the system. So those are the kind of things they're going to try to do at first. I wonder how those get weeded out.
Yeah, I don't know how something like that will work, because then that's a lot of obligations you suddenly have as the athlete, because you're going to have to do something for 20 different businesses. And by the way, it's in typical
college. Or it's the same business 25 times.
Huh?
I would say it's the same place 25 times. So like if you say they want it, like Bob's Burgers wants to pay you a bunch of money, but they don't want to go to the clearinghouse.
Yeah.
The only reason it has to go to the clearinghouse is if it's over $600. So if they keep that under $600 and just spread it out over micro payments 25 times, then technically it doesn't go to the clearinghouse.
Yeah, but I mean, what are you doing, like a weekly $600 deal?
Maybe.
But can you do that? So you're going to do 52 deals that are weekly deals for $567. Like,
if it keeps,
is that worth all the trouble?
If it keeps, look, like you said, bad actors, if it keeps
you
out of
I
trouble.
hate the fact that like we're sitting here talking about, and the first thing we're talking about is how these schools are going to cheat to get around the new rules that are finally being put in place to try and.
But that's one of the things I saw was who's the first person. There's going to be somebody that submits 50, like, or they see $500 dollar deals.
I just think if you're the clearinghouse, you look at that and you go like, okay, like, go back to your drawing board. That is ridiculous. Like, that's not going to fly.
But they've got to catch that and make sure that they codify that in the rules of, hey,
Well, it's like anything else that people will find a way.
Currently, it's not. So, under the rules of that.
I mean, is it though?
No, I mean, the person I saw that brought that up was like, no, right now it's not in there. Like, so he's like, an immediate thing I see for bad actors is it's really easy to get around it is if you just have a less than $500 deal, you can give this one person a bunch of those. And if they don't have to report them all or at all, they can just take them and do them. Then, like you've got the clearinghouse won't catch it.
Cool. That's a really long way to get like $40,000 into the hands of one guy, much less like the entire team. So that just seems like tedious as hell to have to do that. But yeah, I'm sure somebody's already trying to figure out ways to do that. And like I just said, in typical college sports fashion, particularly football, here we are trying to figure out how people will cheat this immediately. So that's not a surprise, and that's par for the course, definitely. But yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of people who have been using these last few months to figure out ways to exploit the system and get around it, because that's what they do. And so we'll see some examples of it sooner rather than later, I am sure.
Yeah. So Title IX is not exempt. I think that's going to be the next lawsuit that we see, because there's there's not been a clear answer on how Title IX and this go together. We'll ask Amanda Kristovich from Front Office Sports. She's coming up next at 3:30. Her thoughts on that and what they do, because there's not been anything, that they've been able to really specifically say, well, this is how you make it Title IX compliant. And then, there's, the roster restructures, which we've talked about. There'll still be walk-ons because most schools won't scholarship 105 guys, up from 85. Men's basketball is up to 15 from 13. Baseball is up to 34 from 11.7. So I know there was this great outcry about walk-ons, but they're still going to exist. There probably just won't be as many of them as there were before, because there's an 85 scholarship limit, but you could have a roster limit up to 125. So football is reduced by 20 spots, which were all walk-ons, but now you can scholarship 105 guys. So they lose 20 players, but they gain 20 scholarships. So they can do with that what they so choose. So, but the enforcement arm, the cap management system, plaintiffs, the Power Four and the NCAA will police cap requiring regular school submissions. The NIL Go will approve non-school NIL deals, and a neutral arbitrator will hear appeals. So schools have a choice to opt out of settlement terms, thus prohibiting them from sharing revenue. Many FCS and basketball playing leagues will have a mix of opt-in and opt-outs, and there's an ongoing debate between P4 schools and those that opt out over, if you decide to opt out of this settlement and you're in the P4, if you're a P4 school that does it, does that mean that you can't really be in this conference anymore? There's been that talk as well. I wonder who in the Power Four would do that, would opt out.
Well, I don't know. There's some schools already apparently signing up for private equities, I'm sure we're going to get to. Yeah. So, and they're not the schools that anybody guessed, because I've got a hilarious example of seeing like 5 tweets in a row of people as confidently as possible. No, dude, it's these schools. And every single one of them are wrong. Mm-hmm. Every single one of them are like not even close to being correct on who's already jumping into the PE pool, including the initial report's not even correct. Basically, we find out 10 minutes after it was published that it's not even all the way accurate on the 2 schools that have accepted PE, apparently. So there's a lot going on, and it's a lot to wrap your head around. And there's a lot of minute, tedious things that probably most people don't care as much about. I know some things I don't care as much about, and there's a lot that I'm kind of like, all right, so what does this look like on the other side? Like, when all that gets figured out, what does this look like on the other side? How quickly do we get there? But first, you got to take this first big step and see, what the reaction to it is. And that's what's being done today and over the weekend, was the big step of just getting that damn settlement passed so that you could move on to the next phase. And that next phase begins now. And there's already, it feels like when I read college sports Twitter, it's like chickens with their head cut off running around like, what does this mean? And proclaiming things that may or may not be true, because we don't really know just yet. So it's a wild time. You knew it was coming, but now it's here, and everybody's trying to figure out what moves next.
Okay. So earlier today, there was a conference call with the Power Four commissioners and Pete Bavacqua and Teresa Gould, and I want to say one other person was on that, but Matt Hayes, college football, said, quick synopsis of the commissioners on all things college sports moving forward. They're winging it. ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips, it isn't going to be perfect, but we're committed to progress. So again, they're trying to figure all this out right now. And mostly, and look, I'm not knocking them for not knowing this. They don't know where the challenge is going to come, where the
they don't know the first lawsuit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Where's the first landmine that wasn't covered in this that somebody steps on? Where when somebody decides to challenge the clearinghouse, what is their actual beef with it? And did we mess up and leave something out of that as well?
Well, I do feel like there is going to be more of an authoritarian lean to college sports than there's been from this free reign, like anything goes kind of feeling over the last couple of years. And authoritarian is probably too strong of a word, but there's going to be an authority. Is that better? That make more sense? There's going to be more of an authority, which was supposed to be the NCAA and for a very long time was, and then they've just been so toothless. And then when they haven't been toothless and unfairly get portrayed that way, their own rules work against them to where they can never win any lawsuits. So it's like just been this pointless cycle of try to punish, get sued, lose lawsuit, start back again. Try to punish, try to enforce actual rules. Tennessee gets mad. They sue. They go state court, like all these things. And so now under this agreement, if Tennessee or West Virginia or Cal or whoever wanted to do that, like they might bounce your ass from the entire thing. I mean, you're playing by the rules or you're not. There's not going to be like, yeah, we're going to agree to it, and then we're going to go and sue you behind your back. Like the story, the biggest part of the story to me is that the athletes are getting what they want, and they're still going to be paid moving forward. And some of them got some of their back, but like all the commissioners agree, like these are the rules now.
Yeah,
like these are the rules. We're all going to follow the rules, and those that don't want to follow the rules can go find somewhere else to go be a school and be a university and athletics department. I mean, that's the gist that I get from this.
Yeah,
and there's still going to be people that cheat, but it's not just going to be able to be rampant and you get away with it and you just sue your way out of getting in trouble. Like, no, you're going to have to abide by some rules. And there's still going to be some lawsuits here and there, of course, but they're nipping a lot of the lawsuits in the bud by having you agree to this ahead of time.
Yeah.
And opting in, if you will.
The big thing here, put up Yormark's comments here. One of the big things is Brett Yormark said the affiliation agreements related to the governance structure are a work in progress. Noted there haven't been any pushback within the Big 12, and there's a hope everyone will sign on soon. Part of those affiliation agreements mean that if your state passes a law that says, this, that you don't have to opt into, you don't have to.
If it's like all the southeastern states, when they decided like, hey, how can we cheat and get away with more? Like we're all going to pass our own unique state rules that basically say F the NCAA. We have our own NIL rules and we'll play by those because they're much more favorable to us.
Yeah.
Like that's not happening now.
Yeah. So now that will get challenged by someone, I'm sure. But again, it is,
but why though? But like, that's the thing though, is like everybody should want to be playing by those rules.
Well, I don't think it's going to be challenged by any kind of like university or anything. I think it'll be challenged by a player who says like, well, I should be able to get this based on the law in the state that I live in. I'm in Georgia. The Georgia state law says I should get this, but the NCAA now says that I can't because their association agreement,
We'll see. And for that's why you have people golfing with the president.
Yeah.
That's how you deter all that type of thing, is you have some very special rules written for you or unique to you that can prevent those types of things from happening. So I think that's why you're seeing Greg Sankey out golfing with Donald Trump, and who else was with him?
Pete
Bavacqua from Notre Dame. So that's where I think some of that's getting talked about or discussed, and try to eliminate that as much as possible. But yeah, there'll be the Diego Pavia who's trying to say, no, well, I need another year because this and that. And yeah, the lawsuits aren't stopping, but they'll just be from a different angle than they have been previously.
They probably also won't, I would say, involve like thousands upon thousands of athletes. Right. It will be maybe more specific to a certain situation as opposed to these fundamental rights that they were denying before,
right?
Which is why they have to pay all this money. Yormark, again, on the rules. He said, we're providing the rules to the new College Sports Commission, and we'll be governed by those rules. And if we break those rules, the ramifications will be punitive, which is really good because most of the time, it varies from school to school, and schools that do the same exact thing because of maybe who they are or if they have a friend of the factory don't get as punished. The other thing I think they need to make sure that they do, which I'm sure they will, is that this crap can't take 5 years.
Right.
Like, you can't take 5 years to investigate something anymore. You can't say, I mean, like, the Michigan thing has already shown that they can do it pretty quick, and they can maybe even do it quicker than they did that. So if you're in a situation where now coaches are gone, the players who all did the thing are gone, and you're punishing people who had nothing to do with it and probably didn't even know those people, it's dumb. And it took too long because you got caught up in it. So there's that.
I wonder what the ramifications will be, because I wonder if it'll be like the NBA when the guy who's making $100 million gets fined $20,000. You know, It's like, wow, that really showed them.
Yeah.
Or will it be something? And I know every school's counting their pennies like they're $100 bills nowadays. So maybe even a slight fine would be enough to really hammer home your point and deter it from happening again. But yeah, I wonder how significant those will be.
Yeah.